Angela's name has trended before, but not like this. One moment she is the loudest star in the room, the next she is a headline tied to another alleged arrest that shocked even her biggest haters. The shift feels sudden, but the tension behind it has been building for years. I am Sabrina, and you are watching TLC Drama Live. Subscribe, and tell me in the comments how far you think reality TV should go before someone steps in, because this story hits a point where the cameras feel colder than the cops. Angela has spent years giving viewers the chaos they expected from her: explosive fights, jealous threats, meltdowns on reunion couches. She brought numbers, she brought noise, she brought the kind of energy that kept producers booking her season after season. Yet here we are again, with her name linked to alleged drug trouble and legal fallout. Fans are asking the same thing I am asking. At what point does messy entertainment stop being fun and start becoming real damage for her, for Michael, and for the network that kept putting her front and center? The timing alone raises questions. What pushed her to this point? Where was TLC while her behavior kept escalating? How much did the people around her see behind the scenes? And the question that stings the most: is Angela ever coming back to television, or is this the moment the franchise cuts the cord? Angela has always walked a line, loud enough to trend, reckless enough to worry her fans, bold enough to keep producers watching. If the new allegations are true, this might be the moment where that line finally snaps. Her history with aggression, public outbursts, and emotional chaos has always made viewers debate whether she was unfiltered or unstable. Now those old doubts are mixing with fresh rumors, and the result feels heavier than anything she has faced on screen. Before we go further, ask yourself why the same behavior that once made her a star now feels like a warning sign nobody can ignore. Because the pressure around her life did not appear overnight. It built up layer by layer, one conflict at a time, one outburst at a time, one ignored red flag at a time. And with every season, every fight, every public humiliation, reality TV kept packaging her pain as entertainment. The real shock is not that we reached this point. The real shock is how long it took. Angela didn't become good TV by accident. From the very first time she appeared on Before the 90 Days, there was something explosive about her. She walked into the franchise with a voice that echoed through the screen and a personality that swallowed entire scenes. You knew the moment she entered, the energy shifted. When Angela showed up, peace packed its bags and left the room. Viewers saw her chain smoking through arguments, screaming at Michael for things he didn't even finish explaining, throwing fits at tell-alls, storming off sets, flirting with Billy, and then accusing Michael of betrayal in the same breath. She was unpredictable, loud, jealous, emotional, and absolutely unforgettable. And whether people loved her or hated her, they kept watching. That is the part the franchise cared about the most. Producers noticed something early. When Angela yelled, numbers moved. When Angela cried, comments exploded. When Angela accused Michael of cheating or disrespecting her, online fights sprouted everywhere. She became the cast member who guaranteed reactions. More reactions meant more episodes centered around her, which meant more money for TLC and more opportunities for Angela to stay in the spotlight. Her worst moments started giving her the most screen time. Fans clipped her blow-ups and posted them online. Memes spread, rants went viral. Even people who didn't watch the show knew who she was because her chaos traveled far beyond the franchise. She became a recognizable figure, not because she tried to be polished, but because she refused to tone anything down. That rawness made her a magnet for attention. Slowly, her behavior stopped being occasional drama and turned into her brand. She became the woman who would break into a scream at any moment, the partner who accused before listening, the personality that producers could rely on when an episode needed electricity. Chaos became her currency. Every time she pushed the line, she got rewarded with more visibility, more storylines, and more influence within the franchise. And here's the twist. When someone builds a career on being unfiltered, unpredictable, and intense, they start losing the ability to walk away from those habits. The franchise encouraged the side of Angela that made viewers talk. But being the loudest person in the room comes at a cost when the cameras stop rolling and real-life consequences take over. The same traits that made her a star are the same traits waiting to hit a wall the moment real legal trouble steps in. Long before the newest wave of allegations, the warning signs were already sitting in plain sight. Angela had a documented DUI arrest years ago, and even though she tried to downplay it, fans remembered how shaken she looked in the footage from that time. Then came the on-camera moments where her verbal attacks toward Michael crossed lines that many viewers found hard to watch. She screamed over him, insulted him, threatened him during arguments that were supposed to be about fixing their marriage. Those scenes became some of the most uncomfortable moments in the franchise because they were not produced storylines. They were real people breaking down. At multiple tell-alls, she turned the stage into a battlefield. She shouted over cast members, flipped off producers, stormed backstage, and then came back louder than before. Those nights left Michael looking exhausted and embarrassed. Viewers could see the humiliation on his face when she mocked him in front of everyone. In my opinion, that public dynamic created a pattern where control became part of their relationship story. Not control in a clinical sense, but control in the way one partner dominates every conversation until the other person stops speaking altogether. Things escalated further once Michael reached the United States. According to public reports and the police call that followed, he left her home in fear. He told officers he did not feel safe staying there, and that moment changed how many viewers saw their marriage. When someone runs from their own house at night and asks strangers for help, it sends a message that no storyline can clean up. Bloggers and longtime fans openly questioned why TLC continued filming her when there were so many loud, documented incidents showing emotional chaos and fear inside that relationship. People were not asking small questions anymore. They wondered whether TLC ignored the red flags or whether the red flags were part of the appeal. Angela's temper was not a one-time meltdown. It was a pattern that played out across seasons, social media lives, tell-all stages, and then finally police reports. Every time she crossed a line, cameras were rolling. Every time Michael looked scared, cameras were rolling. The franchise knew her behavior made viewers talk, and talking means engagement. That is why the pressure around this situation feels heavier. If this many warning signs were already out in public, why did filming continue as if everything was entertainment? The stakes get higher when you consider another angle that people started whispering about online. Angela's long history of surgeries, pain, and visible stress created a new thread of speculation about how she coped behind the scenes. She often admitted to physical pain, and her lifestyle grew more chaotic as the years went on. Some viewers wondered if pills or mixing medications played a role in the intensity of her reactions, although nothing on record confirms that. Still, the timing of her behavior shifts has people connecting dots even without official statements. The closer you look at the pattern, the harder it becomes to ignore the possibility that something deeper was building long before the latest controversy came to light. Angela's transformation era was supposed to be a fresh start, not the beginning of another storm. When she went through weight loss surgery and multiple breast procedures, she talked openly about wanting to feel younger and lighter. She showed off her new body online with the same confidence that once made her a fan favorite. But behind those bold selfies was a husband who looked more uncomfortable each season. Michael often seemed unsure how to react. He supported her on camera, but the distance between them grew wider after every operation. Viewers felt that tension. They noticed how her confidence turned sharper, her reactions quicker, her nights longer. Surgery is not a small event. Angela went through several procedures within a short span of time. Publicly, she spoke about pain, swelling, and fatigue. Anyone who follows her social media remembers how often she mentioned being exhausted or hurting. Long recovery periods usually come with prescriptions, and she admitted to feeling overwhelmed during that phase. Add late nights, live streams, stress from her relationship, and the pressure of staying relevant online, and you get a mix that would break anyone's balance. This is where the conversation shifts to something more serious. Many reality stars deal with pressure in ways viewers never see. When cameras stop rolling, some people lean on coping tools like alcohol or pills, often mixing them with anxiety and public scrutiny. I am not diagnosing Angela or claiming anything specific about her private medical choices. But in my opinion, the lifestyle she lived during that time created fertile ground for unhealthy habits. The combination of surgeries, ongoing pain, attention from fans, fights with Michael, and the constant need to perform for social media built a dangerous emotional environment. Online conversations about her changed tone. Fans began asking whether the pain medication she mentioned in the past contributed to her unpredictable moods. Bloggers pointed back to her older DUI as an early red flag. Comment sections filled with speculation. Some claimed her outbursts and explosive reactions had deeper roots, though none of this is confirmed. Social media has a way of creating its own storyline, and Angela became the center of a narrative involving stress, dependency, and alleged new drug-related trouble. None of those claims have been verified. TLC has not released any public confirmation of fresh drug charges, but the buzz alone shows how fragile her public image has become. The bigger question is the hardest one to ask. When does she needs help become she is a danger to herself and others? At what point does a pattern stop being entertainment and start being a real cry for intervention? Fans watched her spiral through pain, anger, surgeries, and stress for years. Many worried, others laughed, and a few turned her lowest moments into memes. That mix of reactions says a lot about how reality TV trains audiences to treat people's breakdowns as content. If a franchise repeatedly films a person hitting emotional walls, does the network become a bystander or an accomplice when the spiral gets worse? TLC has a long history of choosing which scandals to overlook and which scandals to run from. Some cast members with arrests, messy breakups, or public fights stayed on screens for years. Others disappeared overnight with no explanation. Viewers noticed the pattern a long time ago. The franchise does not react to moral lines. It reacts to business lines. If a cast member's chaos still brings views, production keeps rolling. When the chaos threatens sponsors or press coverage, the disappearance is sudden. Angela falls into the group the network protected for a very long time. They built promos around her loudest fights. They replayed her walk-offs, her screams, her threats. Entire seasons leaned on her turbulence with Michael. Even when viewers complained, TLC kept using her as a center point because she was the person fans tuned in for. Every confrontation became a selling point. Every meltdown became a moment they highlighted in previews. They framed her as the personality you could not look away from, no matter how uncomfortable the scene became. This is how networks manage risk. Screaming is fine. Marriage breakdowns are fine. Cheating accusations are fine. Social media wars are fine. Even police calls are treated as plot points as long as the situation can be contained. What networks fear is something that escapes their control. Legal cases. News coverage outside the reality TV bubble. Sponsors asking questions. Once a situation jumps from franchise drama to public scandal, the calculation changes. Angela's latest controversy, even without confirmation of new charges, pushed her closer to that line. The audience plays its own part in this cycle. Every time viewers rage against Angela, they also keep her trending. Ratings spike on episodes where she loses her temper. Comments explode when she fights with Michael or another cast member. Fans drag her online, then return for the next episode to see what she will do next. The same viewers who say cancel her also share clips of her worst moments. This loop kept her relevant far longer than any calm storyline ever could. In my opinion, blaming Angela alone ignores the machine around her. TLC monetized her emotional volatility. Viewers consumed it, production highlighted it, Angela supplied it. It was a cycle that kept feeding itself until something snapped. The real question now is whether Angela is the root of the problem or whether she is the product of a bigger system that rewards the worst behavior until it explodes in public. Michael's story has always felt quieter than Angela's, but the quiet is what makes it hit harder. They started with a simple online message. Two strangers from different continents, different ages, different expectations. The age gap alone shaped how people viewed them from the start. She was in her 50s, he was in his early 30s, and the power between them never looked balanced on screen. Still, he followed the visa path, the interviews, the endless arguments that became their entire identity as a couple. Through the years, viewers watched their relationship twist under pressure. There was the cheating scandal that nearly ended everything. There was the therapy spin-off where they tried to repair what had already cracked. Then came the long wait for his spousal visa, the moment he finally arrived in the United States, and the short-lived attempt at settling into her home. That moment should have felt like a payoff after years of waiting. Instead, it became another turning point. When Michael left her house and told police he was afraid, it told viewers that their marriage had reached a place where even survival instincts were louder than loyalty. More recently, Angela has accused Michael of violence, cheating, and even claimed he fathered a child after coming to the US. Those filings spread online fast. But when you compare them with years of footage showing him shrinking during her outbursts, apologizing when he hadn't spoken, and flinching during arguments, the contrast raises real questions. For a long time, he looked like a man trying to survive a partner who controlled the narrative. Now she paints him as a threat. In my opinion, those two images do not sit easily beside each other. There is also the emotional burden of being the partner with less power. Angela had the platform, the followers, the louder voice, and the home court advantage. Michael had the visa process hanging over him. That difference shapes everything. When one person can weaponize public opinion and the other has to stay quiet to protect their future, the relationship becomes uneven in a way viewers can feel even without the couple explaining it. Something changed once he left her house and moved to a new city. His online posts shifted. He stopped reacting to her and started posting about peace, building his own life, and finding stability. He looked more relaxed, even when he said very little. Silence is not always weakness. Sometimes silence is a person protecting themselves. In my opinion, his decision to step back publicly says more about his mental state than any interview could. It looked like a man realizing he did not need to yell to reclaim control of his life. He only needed space. Now, the question that lingers is simple but heavy. Michael's quiet distance might end up shaping Angela's future in ways a network statement never could. If he stays away, if he refuses to film, if he keeps rebuilding his life without her, what does that leave for her storyline, and what does it mean for her place in the franchise moving forward? When Angela trends, the entire 90 Day Fiancé universe reacts like it's a family WhatsApp group that suddenly exploded. Co-stars jump in with their own flavor of shade or sympathy. Kalani has dropped lines that felt like they were aimed straight at Angela without using her name. Yara has posted reminders about addiction and pain that many fans connected to Angela's situation. Colt has made comments about people being addicted to chaos, and viewers instantly knew who he meant. Even cast members who pretend to stay neutral start posting cryptic stories the moment Angela's name hits the headlines. Everyone has an opinion ready. Fans are even louder. The community splits every single time. One side calls her aggressive, dangerous, and impossible to watch. They say she ruins every scene she touches. They want her off the franchise forever. The other side says she is a woman in pain who needs rehab, not ridicule. They see her outbursts as signs of someone drowning under pressure, not someone trying to hurt others. Every time something happens, the comment sections become a battleground. Some call her a monster. Others call her a victim of fame and emotional exhaustion. What makes this dynamic so intense is how the audience treats her highs and lows. The same viewers who share memes of her screaming at Michael also write paragraphs about how she needs real help. The same people laughing at her walk-offs are the ones saying her latest controversy feels sad instead of funny. Public judgment in reality TV is messy. Viewers feel connected to the cast, but they also feel free to criticize them like characters in a story. It creates a strange loop where people enjoy the drama, but feel guilty when the drama goes too far. So this brings up a real question for everyone watching. If someone brings equal parts entertainment and emotional damage, what should TLC do? Keep her on screen because she brings views? Or step back because the cost behind the scenes looks too heavy? There is no easy answer, and that is exactly why people keep debating it. And Angela is not the only example. I have seen this same cycle crush another couple who did not end up in handcuffs, but still felt the pressure of the franchise pushing every insecurity to the surface. Their story shows how the system affects people even when there is no police report involved. That is where we go next. Shakina and Sarper don't come with handcuffs or mugshots, but their story still feels like a softer echo of the same theme we've been following. No drugs, no arrests, but pressure, plenty, control, absolutely. And expectations from social media? Crippling. Their relationship was supposed to be fun and spontaneous, a dating app match, cute trips to Turkey, the classic whirlwind romance, but the moment the cameras locked on, the clock started ticking. Sarper came in with the bad boy past. Shakina brought the trust issues. And instead of slowing down, they pushed forward. Visa deadlines don't wait for emotional maturity. The K1 timer started, nerves kicked in, and they got married on a bed. Literally. A symbolic start for a couple who seemed unsure about the whole thing from day one. Then came the quick cracks, the tell-all confessions, the ring-off, the 10-day separation, the back-and-forth tension that felt less like love and more like trying to prove something to an audience that had already formed its opinion. The shift is clear. Their relationship stopped being about what they wanted and started bending around what the show needed. Fan expectations, online comments, pressure to stay visible, and of course, the shadow of brand deals. Every fight suddenly mattered more. Every doubt became a poll in someone's Instagram story. They were no longer just a couple. They were content. And that changes how you argue, how you apologize, how you stay together. Shakina literally put an AirTag on his keychain. That's not love. That's surveillance with a hint of paranoia. And yet, viewers laughed, discussed it like gossip, and waited for the next twist. It's funny until you realize how much stress and fear sits underneath those choices. Sarper, meanwhile, struggled with his new life. He missed independence, disliked being dependent on her income, and seemed constantly unsure whether he wanted to be married at all. Still, they stayed. Maybe for love, maybe for screen time, maybe because walking away while the cameras are rolling is harder than it sounds. They're not in legal trouble, but they're clearly in emotional trouble. Their story shows that not every spiral ends with flashing lights. Sometimes, it's quieter. It's long nights, resentments, silence between scenes, and you start to wonder who they might have been if they hadn't been forced to perform their relationship on demand. The question now is whether TLC sees their conflict as a cry for help or as the perfect setup for the last resort. Are viewers ready to keep watching couples break apart for ratings, even when they're not breaking laws? If you've been watching 90 Day Fiancé for more than a few seasons, you already know this isn't new. The pattern is easy to spot when you stop focusing on the individual faces. A couple starts out hopeful. They meet online, fall fast, and bring all their baggage with them. Add in the ticking clock of a K-1 visa, family pressure, cultural gaps, financial stress, and a camera crew documenting every fight. The relationship stops being private and starts becoming a product. And once it becomes a product, every crack becomes content. We've seen it play out over and over. Some couples implode, others hang on with a tight smile and a secret war behind the scenes. What keeps this cycle going is how attention changes people. On reality TV, attention is currency. It brings opportunities, sponsorships, power. And when your identity becomes wrapped around attention, losing it feels like losing yourself. So people start performing more, yelling louder, doubling down on bad behavior because the quiet feels like irrelevance. Angela's rise was built on that rhythm. Loud, wild, unpredictable. She made herself unforgettable. And then the same traits that brought her fame became the ones people couldn't ignore anymore. There's also a deeper layer most people don't talk about. When someone gets publicly humiliated on screen, the instinct isn't always to change. Sometimes it pushes them to harden, to defend, to deflect, to dig in. Because admitting the audience saw your worst moments doesn't just hurt, it threatens your whole sense of self. It's easier to blame editing or a partner or the pressure. That's how some stars start slipping. They don't see it happening. But the more people laugh, or judge, or pile on, the more they stop hearing the few voices that still care. And yes, fans are part of it too. It's easy to say, cancel her 1 minute, and then binge watch every scene where she blows up the room. It's easy to share the meme but feel weird when you see her cry. That split feeling is real. A lot of viewers root for chaos because it's entertaining, but also feel something deeper when the damage gets too real. That's why you have people calling Angela a villain and others calling her a warning sign. Same person, different lens. But it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can enjoy the show and still draw a line. You can watch and still understand that these are real people, even when they're messy or loud or wrong. You can call out behavior without attacking someone's identity. You can be entertained and still recognize when someone needs help more than a new season. The two things don't cancel each other out. They just keep you grounded while you watch the story unfold. Angela and Shakina's stories are miles apart in tone, but they come from the same place. A relationship under pressure, a camera crew nearby, a network looking for drama, and the same cycle. Push the love story until it breaks, then turn the breakdown into another show. For Angela, that breakdown might be legal. For Shakina and Sarper, it might be emotional. Either way, they're both caught in a loop where love gets filmed, judged, and monetized. So where does that leave Angela now? If she returns, would it be for redemption? Or because producers know that rock bottom sells too? Is she rebuilding? Or is she being set up for a comeback that benefits everyone but her? That's the part nobody knows yet. But it's the question that should sit with all of us before we press play next time. Angela's future isn't sealed yet, but the paths in front of her are narrowing. We opened with the shock of another alleged legal incident, the kind that even reality TV can't spin into a quirky subplot. We asked where TLC draws the line, and so far, their silence speaks louder than any press release. The network built seasons around Angela's chaos. Now, they're watching as that chaos inches into territory that threatens their brand more than it boosts their ratings. If they walk away, it won't be because of morality. It'll be because of risk. Michael's story, once the quieter half of this couple, might turn out to have the biggest ripple effect. His silence after leaving her home, his cryptic messages about peace, his physical distance. If he continues to stay gone, not just geographically, but emotionally, it forces the franchise to rethink how they anchor Angela's storyline. She was always framed as the sun around which he orbited. But what happens when the orbit ends? The emotional cost of all this isn't limited to them. Angela's public spiral, if that's what this becomes, is not just about her. It's about what happens when you build a persona out of pain and then try to survive inside it. It's about a woman who was rewarded for every red flag until the flags started looking like warning signs instead of personality traits. It's also about a man who quietly endured years of tension and then finally walked away. Whether you believe Angela deserves a second chance or you think her time on TV is done, the question isn't just what she did, it's what the system allowed, encouraged, and packaged for viewers. In my opinion, if Angela comes back to TV, it should only happen if she's in a place where help has already happened off screen, not because producers want to script her comeback. Viewers are smart. You can sense when a redemption arc is genuine and when it's designed for shock value. And if she stays off screen, maybe that's where the real healing happens. Some stories don't need more episodes. They need silence. But I know not everyone feels the same. Some viewers say she's past the point of forgiveness. Others say everyone deserves the chance to come back from a mistake. So I'm asking you, what do you think TLC should do now? What would justice look like? And what would compassion look like? Drop it in the comments. I'll be watching, because how you answer that question says more about where we are as an audience than anything TLC decides. And if you thought this story was intense, wait until you hear what Michael's been doing behind the scenes, because a quiet man building a case can be more powerful than any screaming match ever aired.